So there's a relevance objection to essentially, I guess, all of what the witness might be about to testify to. And Mr. Smith, you were trying to sort of explain the relevance, and if you can just do it here.
Yes, Your Honor.
Whenever you're ready.
Your Honor, these shell casings that were collected at 1097 Harwell Road, this location is just down the street from Club Crucial. It happened December 26, 2014, and it produced a knifing hit to 2905 Springdale Road, which occurred on January 28, 2015. One of the other cases that the state has presented evidence on.
Okay,
and so, Your Honor, as we're talking about the shootings and the violence that has occurred throughout this investigation, the shell casings, the fact that there is this knifing hit, it just shows various locations. We're not going to say this person had it in their hands, but the fact that there are knifing hits to locations that are in close proximity to locations where we know where we
I have no idea why it's doing that.
Testing. Where we know that other instances that have involved the groups of people that are an interest in this gang war have been seen and apprehended at. We believe that it's relevant because it tends to show that this particular firearm was used in at more than one location and more than one incident. So the connection of the locations by shell casings is not like it's 2 years earlier or 20 miles away. The proximity and temporal proximity of the locations are what we believe make it relevant.
All right, and which group is it that is alleged to, that the state's theory at least, committed this, so, you said Springdale Road in this?
Yes, so 2905 Springdale Road, yes, on January the 28th, which was,
right.
And Your Honor, we are not going to always in each case be able to say this person had this gun.
Right, but I mean, was this alleged to be 2 YSL shootings? No, or
the 2905 Springdale Road, just 1 second, was January 28th. Was the location of Miss Antrevia is a location of one of the witnesses that we have.
The Springdale Road.
Yes.
Right, and who is alleged to, or which group is alleged to have committed that shooting?
There was, during interviews, there was an allegation. The groups that were alleged to have been involved were the groups that are listed, YSL and F Gang. But
Okay.
I cannot say,
So for the Blue Flame and then for Springdale Road, is YSL the group alleged to have committed those shootings?
not for Blue Flame, we don't know, but the
Okay.
Springdale Road, there was an allegation that YSL committed the Springdale Road shooting.
Okay.
We don't know who committed the Blue Flame, but we do know that the shell casings that were at Springdale Road were also fired at the, they are producing knife and matches to a location just a mile away from Club Crucial, in the latter part of December 2014.
All right, and is this Club Crucial, or not, I'm sorry, is this Blue Flame shooting anywhere in the indictment?
No, it's not that it's in the indictment. It's just that it's the proliferation of violence and the location of the amount of violence caused by these weapons that have been used in these various shootings, we believe is relevant.
Okay, and is the weapon that matches both of these also, was it found in the possession of anybody who's alleged to be a YSL co-conspirator?
No. Let me make sure about that. Hang on.
Do y'all even have the weapon that these two things match?
No, we don't have the weapon. We have shell casings, but not the gun in this particular case. And so we don't, and we're in showing the back and forths, we're showing the amount of shootings.
Okay. So I know that for a lot of the different incidents, there is a theory that, there is one shooting by one gang against another, and then the other gang retaliates against the first gang,
Right.
and it goes back and forth, back and forth.
Right.
Is the Blue Flame shooting alleged to have been any part of that back and forth, back and forth?
We don't have that. We don't, in as much as we don't know who committed that, all that we know is that the weapons used there were knife and hits to.
Okay. So you just want to show that I assume we'll have some evidence that in some way ties YSL to the Springdale Road shooting, and you want to be able to show that somebody involved in that might have been involved in some other shooting, just to show that they shoot things up a lot, essentially.
Well, the count one of this indictment alleges exactly that.
Okay, but this isn't an overt act in count one of the indictment, right?
No, but it's
Okay.
it's not an overt act. No, the Blue Flame,
Okay.
no, but it is. I guess our position is it doesn't need to be an overt act to be proof of something that we are showing.
Okay, has there been any prior notice about this, any argument that it's 404B or intrinsic?
Well, we have not.
Yes or no?
No, I don't think we have. No.
All right, I'm going to
But this-
sustain that relevance objection.
Yeah.
Yes.
The-
I'm going to exclude it based on relevance, 403, lack of notice.
Your
Yes,
Honor,
ma'am?
well, Your Honor, in as much as it has produced a knife and hit, and that they have known, we have provided that information from day one. This is not something that has been kept. And in as much as it is a firearm that has been used in a shooting that we believe was committed by and perpetrated by one of the, or at least a member or associate of the enterprise that we're talking about for a reason, that
Okay, well, I asked you if you had anything that tied this gun to a particular YSL co-conspirator, and you said no.
I'm sorry, but we said that 2905 Springdale Road is a location that we have heard from interviews that a YSL person shot up. We don't have a particular YSL person. And the fact that that same firearm was used about a month earlier at a location about a mile away from where other YSL shootings occurred, we believe that makes it intrinsic. We've not argued, the court asked us, had we argued that? We have not argued it, no, but we do believe that it's intrinsic, it's definitely relevant. The jury could draw the conclusion that this same firearm was used in a different location. It would then be part of the evidence showing the nature of the enterprise that is described and alleged in count 1. So in as much as the relevance, we believe, is that this firearm that we believe was used by a YSL member is used in another location, showing the level of the type of violence, showing the nature of the acts committed by the enterprise. We believe that it certainly meets the very, very, very low burden of relevance, and we believe it meets it. It's more than, the small burden required to be relevant.
Okay, well, maybe relevance wasn't the right.
And in as much as it's intrinsic, there's not notice that's required for intrinsic evidence. Evidence is just proving an element of count 1. So there's no 404B analysis. There's nothing that has been argued or that suggests that somehow this would cause the jury to convict either of the defendants on grounds other than those alleged in the indictment. So we believe that it's relevant, pertinent, intrinsic, and admissible, and should not be subject to that extreme sanction of exclusion, given that this is something that has been, this particular NIBA match, this particular information has been made known to the defense since the beginning of this case back in 2022. So we would ask that the court not exclude this information. And this is not a witness that is going to take a very long time. We have 2 photographs that we're going to publish. We have, I think, about maybe 30 that she took, but 60 that she took, but 2 that we were going to publish.
All right. Well, maybe I misunderstood a little bit about what Mr. Smith was saying at the bench. It sounded, and that may be my fault, I thought he was saying the NIBA match was something that just got learned this week.
No.
So that was my misunderstanding. No. Maybe you just meant, I don't know what you meant. So you said something about things that had just occurred this week.
Well, we just put these witnesses back on the list. But no.
Okay. So I'll hear from the defense.
Your Honor.
Yes, sir.
Well, first of all, there's a lot of irrelevant police reports that are included in discovery.
Talk into your mic, please.
There are many, many irrelevant police reports and irrelevant incidents that are included in discovery. So just because the state put in discovery and we didn't jump up and down doesn't all of a sudden make something relevant or pass 403. Your Honor, what the state is not telling you, and quite honestly, I don't think they're being a little misleading. The 2905 Springdale Road address,
yes,
that's Intrivia Smith's house. No one was ever charged with that. There's no solid evidence whatsoever. The state wants to say, oh, well, we believe YSL is involved. They didn't say a name. They didn't say anyone that's allegedly did the shooting. They have no idea. And, they also know from the discovery, if we're being honest about it, in the discovery, there's several references to Shell Kell shooting up 2905 Springdale Road. Nothing's funny about this. And the reality is They have no clue. The police have no clue. No one was charged with it. And now they want to bring in a separate incident that involves a man, it appears from me reading the police report, a man, Mr. Strozier, who's targeted outside Blue Flame, waiting on his wife to cash out. It's probably a robbery. Mr. Strozier has no relation that I know of to either YSL or If Gang or anything else that would suggest this is a back and forth shooting between the two groups. This has nothing to do with anything.
Your Honor, if I may respond briefly. Contrary to the belief, I guess, by counsel for defendant Stillwell regarding the information that we provided to the court heard me say, and I maintained what address was at that location. I started to say the name and then I chose not to say all of it. But it is alleged at that time that she had begun seeing Kelvin Watts. And this is the precipitation of the providing of that video where we see Antonio Sledge and Quindaria Zachary saying we ain't going back and forth. She provided this to the police after this shooting, right after this shooting. That's how she interfaced with Detective Dennis. So while a member of YSL, I think Mr. Zachary said something to the effect of, well, somebody said Shell Kell shot it up. But at the time that this shooting happened, she was dating Mr. Watts. And so there was, it was said sort of sheepishly, the court can hear it, it'll come in, I believe, during other testimony. But the idea that I'm certain there would be a desire that everything that we put in here is considered irrelevant, but it's not, simply because an assertion is made by, one of the accused that it's not relevant. It is in fact relevant. It does not, there's nothing that warrants its exclusion. It meets the very low requirement for relevance, and arguments to the contrary don't take into account the information I believe we've just shared with the court. And no one has ever said anything about the victim in this case. We're not bringing up his name. We're not trying to say he has anything to do with it. But guess what? A lot of the other shootings that occurred, for instance, the location of Miss B, she wasn't an intended target. And that's one of the themes here. We see people who aren't intended targets getting affected by the violence that's perpetrated by persons on behalf of this enterprise. And so in as much as that person's name, Do you have any evidence that the shooting at the Blue Flame was perpetrated on behalf of, at the direction of YSL? Your Honor, what the evidence that we have that we believe suggests that a member of YSL was involved in that is a Nibin hit. Right. To the... Okay. A member of YSL was involved in that is not the same as it was done at the direction of, in furtherance of YSL. And Your Honor, so I get that. All you have is that the gun used here is suspected to have was apparently the same gun used at the Springdale Road location, which is suspected to have been done by a YSL member, but could equally have been done by somebody who's not YSL, under the theory that, I mean, it's circumstantial evidence. Right? It is circumstantial evidence. It is. All right. Right. And I mean, yes, you can prove your case based on circumstantial evidence. You have a right to do that. But I do not find that this Blue Flame incident is intrinsic to the issues in this indictment. So I am excluding it. All right. So does that mean that we're done with this witness? Your Honor, if the court's going to exclude that one, then we'll. Your Honor, could we just have a instruction to the jury to just strike the testimony about this incident? Well, they hadn't heard much of anything yet anyway, but yes. All right. Your Honor. Yes. Your Honor, I would ask that, given that the court has decided that it has not heard very much, there's nothing that's prejudicial to anyone that's been presented. We would ask that the court simply allow the state to have no further questions and move forward. They haven't even seen the photographs. And so to strike the information, there's nothing that has been in any way that could, they be considered harmful. So we'd ask that.
Well, it's not harmful, but I mean, we don't want to be confusing the jury, so I'll just tell them to disregard. You can certainly put her back on the stand and say, thank you, no further questions, but then I'm going to turn around and say, disregard all that testimony.
Yeah.
If you want me to say it in a way that you want to come up with a particular way for me to potentially say it, I'm willing to consider it.
Just one moment, Your Honor.
Okay.
If the court will allow
Anybody
us.
need to use the restroom while we're on break anyway? Yes, okay. And gentlemen, you will notice that there's a different witness in front of you right now, and I'm going to instruct you at this time, you're to disregard the testimony of the last witness. If you'll swear this witness for us.